It's your boy Tunnel Vision, and we back for another one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hey, what's Canelo gonna do next, man? What's the next move that boy should make? He got his victory. You know, everybody's talking about that fight, the sketchiness about it. I talked previously about how sketchy everything surrounding that fight was, and you know, whatever happened with that, I'm not gonna tell you. It was sketchy, but it is what it is. But what's he gonna do next? You know what I'm saying? What should be his next move? I mean, me personally, I think that the fight that would make the most sense, due to the fact that he's at 175 pounds right now and he has one of the belts, would be to take on Beterbiev. Beterbiev is a unified champion. You know, he has 2 of the belts, and you know he's under Top Rank on ESPN, and they've been able to work with them. They were able to just work right now with Kovalev, who's actually also co-promoted by Top Rank, just like Beterbiev is. So it shouldn't be any issue, long as the money is right and they offer him the right amount of money. They're good to go. So I say that should be the next fight. Then you got then you're making some real history, because then you're probably taking on the best guy at that weight class, you know, that's in his prime, that's coming off a major victory in a unification bout, and that people will really give you your respect and your props when it comes to that fight. You know, they'll give you your props when it comes to that fight. There's nothing you can take away from it if he was to beat that guy. Then after that, I think the best thing after that would be to do a fight against Bivol for Undisputed on DAZN. You know, one of the many fights that DAZN can maneuver into their being an Undisputed of could have done, you know, but haven't been able to come through with any of them. But they can, you know, there's a road to Undisputed. Canelo can become Undisputed at 175 pounds this year. So I think that's the route that next year. That's the route I believe that he should go. I don't believe that's the route he'll go, though. At 168 pounds, you have Smith, you know, who has the super title at the WBA. He's a real WBA champion. Canelo Alvarez has a lesser belt. You know, he does not have the major belt at that weight class. That's why when they talk about him being a 3-division champion, he's not. He's not a 4-division champion right now. He does not have any belts at 154 pounds. 0. So, I mean, that's also an option. You know what I'm saying? He could take on him. Kellen Smith is talking about how he's the number 1 fighter in the division. No, you're not. If you're the number 1 fighter in the division, go fight Caleb Plant, go fight Benavidez, and prove that, you know, and you're not locked into the zone or anything like that. So these are fights that can be made, you know, and we all know, and they could be on Fox. You know, we know PBC knows how to set up good cards, you know, who have good gates. So you're going to get paid well at the end of the day. So unless you go fight those guys, you can't claim to be the number 1 in the division at all. You know, but, you know, you have options. You have him, and just like the other 2, Canelo also has those options. He can take on the Benavidez. He can take on a Caleb Plant. You know, 2 champions in that weight class. And I think those are 3 other fights that I believe would do good numbers, that the fans would really be interested in, and could, you know, get him building some kind of momentum. Because right now he's kind of like on a downward slope. You've seen the weigh-in wasn't as hyped. People talking about how the Vegas trip was just kind of quiet. It wasn't nowhere near what a Canelo fight weekend usually looks like. His last 2 fights have been like that, and even the ticket wise, he's not generating anything close to what he used to generate. So his light is actually dimming with him being on this app, and then the combination of him fighting guys who people kind of think that, you know, he's placing himself in the spaces where there's no actual real challenge that he's taking on. It's dimming his light a little bit, especially with some of the fights that are happening on bigger platforms. You know, he has that, or, you know, at 160, he could go back down to 160. He can, he can take on what's his name? He can unify with Demetrius Andres. That's a fight that he can do. He can fight Charlo. That would be a big fight. If he fights Charlo, that would be a big fight. That would be a really big fight. He has those options. He can even, if you want to go to the UK and and fight somebody in the UK. What's up with Billy Joe Saunders? He fights at 168 right now, though. But, you know, he still has those other options. But I don't think he'll be taking on any of those guys. I don't think he's going to be taking on any of them. I think the guy that he's going to be taking on next is probably going to be Gennady Golovkin. I think that's going to be a fight that the Zone is really, 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 really going to push hard for. Like, really push hard for, because they want that fight bad, especially when the numbers come in for this fight against Kovalev. I don't think the numbers are going to be that spectacular at all. They're not getting the subscriptions off these fights like they thought they would. So I don't know. Not if people, you know, subscribe, they're subscribing, then they're canceling. That's what a lot of them are actually doing. They have a very major issue with retention. Very, very, very major issue with retention. But that's just what it is. I believe that the fighter he's going to be taking on next is going to be Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin looked right-footed picking. You know, he's coming. They raised his hand up, but he's coming off a loss. He lost that fight. They waved his hands up, but he lost that fight. And he's looking more vulnerable than ever. You know, so I think it kind of fits, you know, the strategy of Golden Boy and of Canelo, which is the least resistance fight I can take that the Zone will accept and pay me my money, pay me my $35 million. You know, because I believe he was gonna fight Jaime Munguia instead, but the Zone was like, yeah, we'll let you fight Jaime Munguia for $25 million. We ain't giving you 35. So this whole thing where people had the perception that he could just fight anybody, that's not the case. He can't just fight anybody. The Zone still has to okay the fights. So, you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But me personally, I think that the fight that's gonna go down and the fighter that he's gonna be facing next is Gennady Golovkin. If the Gennady Golovkin happens to not be the fighter that he faces next, I could see maybe him facing either Jaime Munguia next or Smith. But me personally, what do I want to see him do next? Me personally, the fighter that I want to see him fight next, I want to see him take on Beterbiev, get that belt. If he's able to win that fight, he'll hold 3 of those belts, and then on and you can do it on the Mexican dates. You got September, and then you got Cinco de Mayo. You know what I'm saying? So fight Beterbiev and Cinco de Mayo. Then after that, September, Mexican Independence Day. Undisputed, 175 pounds. You can't beat that. But all we can do is pray, hope, wish, and dream. Like, subscribe, share. I'm out.